I genuinely think I found the worst podcast to come out of this country, and that is really saying something.
When you come back from work, you're tired, bruv. You just want to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't wait for holiday.
Sometimes I'm in bed and I'm like, bruv, I need to brush my teeth.
I feel as though at this point, it takes a lot for me to get up out of my chair while I'm watching something and pace about the room to just take a minute. But that is what the Reality Check podcast made me do every 30 seconds or so. I think you may be able to tell the sort of podcast we're dealing with here just by that name. But if you can't, here's a screenshot from their channel. So yeah, it is absolute slop casting. I have no idea who the few thousand people are that waste their time watching this utter wanker. But geez, they need to get their life in check. It's kind of like, you know, that really shit whatever podcast. That's clearly the sort of thing they're going for here. The premise of the podcast is these three Ocean Beach Club dwelling Wayne Lineker superfans invite an OnlyFans model on to chat with them. I've honestly only watched one episode of this because it is utter shit. But in the episode I watched, they invited someone called Rebecca Goodwin on and then proceeded to spend the whole episode ganging up on her, berating her, and making fun of her for what she does. Now, I've spoken about this in other videos of mine, and I think there is a fair few problems that come with things like OnlyFans becoming so normalized in today's culture. But in my opinion, if you're an adult and it's what you want to do and it's your choice and you're not feeling pressured into it, then it's all good. All power to you. I really don't care. These guys here clearly don't like it, or at least the front they're putting on is that they don't like and respect it. So this whole episode I watched is just these three buffoons making absolute fools out of themselves because they're just making incredibly stupid points to try and appease their equally dim fan base by just berating this woman who's come on their podcast. You'll see what I mean. Let's watch the fucking podcast. I'm sorry, by the way, for what I'm about to show you. It is so infuriatingly shit.
Welcome back to the Reality Check. Today, guys, we need some help from all of you. We have been demonetized on YouTube, so we literally don't earn anything from these videos anymore.
Oh, I wonder why.
We need your support to keep this channel going, so we've got a Patreon. Link down below.
If you subscribe to their Patreon, I hope you get defrauded by a tech support scammer because you clearly don't know how to spend your money.
Anyways, today we have ho number one. What's your name?
Wow, it's Rebecca Goodwin.
You can already tell from the off how much this guy just absolutely despises her. Like, the way he introduces her is just incredibly rude. It doesn't matter what someone does for a job. You don't introduce them like that. Then he mimics her laugh in a belittling way. I can't fucking bear this, you know? Like, why invite someone over and ask them to take time out of their day if you're just going to be rude to them? If you don't like them for whatever reason, fine. Don't have them on your podcast. Don't invite them to take time out of their day so you can spend 25 minutes being insanely rude to them in person. I think if you want to have a podcast episode where you discuss these things and their impact on society or something, that's all good. Even if you don't agree with her, you can still have a respectful conversation. But that is not what this is at all. It doesn't even, like, slowly descend into hostility through a heated discussion or something. It starts off hostile. That is clearly the host's goal, to make this as hostile an environment as possible for her. I don't want to talk about a lot of the middle of the podcast because there is literally no point. It's just them shouting over each other, and half of the time they're talking about pubic hair. But the head Dino here makes the most NPC point of all time about 10 minutes into this.
So when women say all men should be 6 foot plus.
They absolutely don't. Have you been browsing the incel forums or something, mate?
I don't say that.
No,
not all men should be. They're saying the person that we date.
But that's the societal norm, right?
No, the person that
all
you
men
date.
need to be 6 foot plus or they're short, yeah?
Well, no,
do we not
I
do
wouldn't
that
say
to men?
In my 26 years, I can firmly and confidently say very few women actually care that much. Like, it is sort of a thing where women go, oh yeah, no, I like my man to be 6 foot plus. But in reality, a lot of them really don't care. Like, it's one of those things that's massively drummed up. Like, the guy here, he is just pulling incel fun facts out of his ass to appease his companionless viewer base. And he knows exactly what he's doing. He is an idiot, but he knows exactly what he's doing.
And you know what's mad? Men can't even change that. Women can shave their pussies. Some men are below 6 foot. Most men are below 6 foot. Imagine how they feel.
Yeah, this is the tone of this fucking podcast. That's why I'm not talking about a lot of it. A running theme throughout this podcast is contribution to society. And they really get into it at the end of the episode where the worst conversation ever happens. The Dino Brigade here lay the claim that Rebecca isn't contributing to society, which I think is very strong from a group of lads with a podcast like this one. So she rebuttals with the fact that she pays a lot in tax, so does in fact contribute contribute to things like doctors and nurses' salaries, which in turn contributes massively to society.
Some
you're
rich
doing
man's
something
pocket.
positive for society, I guess.
Positive.
That's
£238,000 was my tax bill this year. Okay, I'm doing something positive for society by paying a lot of your wages.
okay, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, if we went back to caveman times.
If we were back in cavemen, shut up, man. What? Where are you planning to go with this? If we were back in caveman times, I'd be a lot better off because I wouldn't be sat here listening to this shit.
Which we're not in, yeah.
We're actually going to have some constructive
if we went
production
back to
coming from people that are doing those jobs.
So he's referring to like Tesco workers here. No, we wouldn't. Do you think hunter-gatherers were rocking about in Tesco? Do you think the cavemen were around 50 years ago? This is such a stupid point to make because... What? Am I supposed to fuck off to the woods and catch boar because that was a productive thing to do 100,000 years ago? This is so stupid, man. Does he think that if she was born like 100,000 years ago, she'd be useless and going, if only I had an iPhone 16 Pro and an OnlyFans account. I'm so useless in this era. No, most people born in caveman times would have been productive because they would have been doing productive things for the time. We are not living in the caves anymore.
And kill a cow instead of shopping at Tesco's. Let's go
But
back to caveman times.
There are people doing that, though.
But
And
we're not in caveman
you wouldn't be able to
times.
eat your burgers if there weren't people doing that. Whereas you getting your minge out on OnlyFans is adding
Need I reiterate the fact again that these people are attempting to make a living off a podcast, which every episode, I presume, is like this? Now, I don't know what these guys do. I assume they work and pay taxes and do in turn contribute. But to sit there and go, yeah, because like the way you make your tax money is different to mine and I don't like it, you're not contributing. Like, no, she isn't a doctor or a nurse, but like, I don't think you have to be to make a meaningful contribution to society. Paying your taxes and donating to charity is contributing. Just because someone isn't killing cows to make burgers like this guy mentions doesn't mean they aren't contributing.
I was talking about the girls that are earning £1,000 a month and comparing it to someone who works in Tesco.
Why do you actually care? Like, does this guy just lie awake at night pure seething that some people, through his own biased lens, aren't pulling their weight? Like, this argument, honestly, is so unimportant, and I think the argument of how much does X profession contribute to society is fucking pointless. But if we're doing it here, in this instance, and talking objectively, I'd say she contributes more than all three of the lads on this podcast combined, just through her tax money. Like, if we're going objectively, I think that's the truth. Like, what are they contributing? They've got a fucking shit podcast. This ain't doing fucking nothing for society, man. This is taking us backwards, if anything.
Please explain to me what society
but
is
what
giving
are
you.
Apart from the things you're doing with charity and that, which is really good, by the way, what are you actually contributing to society?
There is not a single thought in that man's head, is there? You know, apart from like all the charity work and the massive tax bill that I could pay for a few doctors and nurses, what do you even do to contribute? What do you do, dickhead? This is so fucking stupid. What do you want her to do? Cure cancer? Go down the mines and discover a new form of fuel? What? They've tried to make the point that she doesn't contribute. It's backfired because she's told them about her charity work and tax bill. But they're doubling down because I assume they think their audience will just bail them out on this one and blindly agree with them.
But wait. So, bin men, doctors...
Right, I pay my council tax.
Hold on, wait. Bin men, doctors, nurses, Tesco workers are all contributing more than you are with your job.
I can't stand this. Do you see why when I first watched this, I had to have a breather like every 30 seconds? You don't need to be a bin man to contribute. You can contribute in other ways. Example, tax money and charity.
Don't you think it's a bit of a waste? You're giving the UK government so much money. Like, they're just throwing it all away.
You think I want to give the UK
Why don't
government...
you leave?
Why don't I leave what?
You got the money. Why don't you leave the UK?
Because I've got children.
Yeah, take them.
I
They don't want to be here.
They do want to be here. I've already asked this. We
It's
already
because
went
they don't know
for...
where else they want to.
Yeah, what? You don't want to live in like the middle of the desert in Dubai? Like, but there's like fast cars and like no taxes, and Andrew Tate likes it. This gaggle of idiots can't possibly begin to understand something from someone else's perspective, and that's another thing kind of separate to this. I can't stand the new sort of wave of people who just blindly shit on the UK because it is basically a trend now. Oh, why would you want to live in England when you can live in Thailand? It's like sunny and everything's cheap. For like 1,000 reasons. Like, the UK has massive problems, but frankly, everywhere does. And speaking from her perspective, she clearly makes a lot of money. And if you have that, the UK is a pretty great place to live, all things considered.
I took them out of school for it was a 6-week holidays, and we got a motorhome and we drove from from Chesterfield to Cornwall back up to the Lake District in 6 weeks. And I asked them...
Not like the Maldives or...
Wait, they've seen Cornwall in the Lake District.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
We know they want to be in the UK now.
Oh, what? You didn't take them to Dubai or Ocean Beach Club Ibiza? Oh, what's the fucking point then? I cannot bear these people, honestly. These three are like a proper nightmare blunt rotation. Just proper vibe killers, the three of them. Speaking as someone who's had a fair few UK holidays, Butlins, Isle of Wight, caravan holidays, they're fucking class as a kid. Like, if I were a kid, I'd rather go to Butlins than fucking Dubai or somewhere, you know?
There've obviously been other places, but the plan was if they liked the motorhome.
Oh, don't shit on Butlins. I saw Chico there once. It was great. They also had those Dinosaur King machines. Oh, they were bloody great. Bloody love Dinosaur King.
But you know what? I'm going to get off now. You lot are the most disrespectful people I've ever met.
So she walked off, and fair enough. These guys are fucking awful. They spent the entire time mocking her and telling her how she should be living her life, despite all three of them being obvious losers. Like they're running a shitter version of an already shit podcast. Something has clearly gone wrong along the way. But they're not just telling her what she should be doing as a profession, but also what she should be doing with her kids. Like, she's been nice enough to come on your wank podcast and answer your fucking stupid questions. The least you could do would be to treat her with the slightest bit of dignity and respect, even if you don't like what she does as a job, or if you don't like her as a person for whatever reason.
Guys, do you think we did anything wrong there? Like, were we...
She was just delusional, mate.
Oh, have a fucking day. You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. Have a day off. Can't just go, oh, yeah, she was delusional. She was delusional because you were fucking berating her and basically bullying her on your podcast, and she decided to get up and leave.
That is mad. If you keep it rolling though, her boyfriend might come in after.
Let him, mate. That'd be a bad idea.
Oh, what? Because you'll punch him up, will you? Well, fucking shut up.
Well, I mean...
I don't personally think that we was rude. I think we were just challenging her on her points. She's got very strong points, but she's delusional. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Especially if her thinks she contributes to society for doing corn. That she doesn't.
She explained how, you know what, I'm actually not going to go into it. I'm not going to go there again. I'm going round and round in circles. This is totally pointless. I hate this podcast. I never want to see it again. Please don't support these guys. Don't even bother looking at their podcast. It's shit. There's literally no point in checking them out. Like, a lot of the time with the people I cover on this channel, like i.e. a Bevo, it's worth kind of checking out what they're up to and shit, just because it's entertaining in its own right. This is absolutely not entertaining in its own right. Just don't bother. But anyway, I'll tell you what you can do. You can like this video and subscribe to this channel. All the best.